Hello. Hello and welcome. I hope everyone's doing okay as I check everything to make sure I still remember how to do this. Hi. Audio is great. Good to know. Thank you, Daniel. And also, hey, Makoto. Thank you so much for the 60 months. You're ridiculous. Thank you. I wasn't even on screen. You just hit me with that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. How's my day going? It's been busy. That's why I'm showing up so late. I am, hopefully everybody's doing okay. I had like 4 auditions that are due at like 9 a.m. tomorrow. So it's not even like, just do them in the morning. It's like, no. I had to do them today. And because time with me takes the shape of its container, much like a cat, I like to wait until the last minute. But I was like, no, I'm gonna stream after I work. So, boundaries. Yes, Seth, I saw you in the chat. I took a little peek. You were watching Karen Strain's first stream in months right now. Yeah, and I believe he's sort of soft launching. I know the stream title said pre-debut, so let me not like speak out of turn or anything. But I believe they got a VTuber situation happening, which please tell them I said hello and that I love them and that I hope they're doing great. And that I love the coffee cup on the hat, which, if it's a reference to what I think it is a really, really sweet touch, and I love that. All right, so what do we got? Jean. You play the harmonica, and one of the screws holding your C harp together is missing, so you have to get a whole new instrument. I hate it when that happens. Evan is dealing with a situation with one of his guitars. I think it's his PRS that he has to like. There's like this one particular part that he needs for it, and it's one of those things, you know, where it's like it's back ordered or I don't know what. There's supply chain issues, like I don't know. So, it has been a minute. I know it's been a couple of weeks. Last week was the second full-blown day of my moon cycle, and as much as I really, really, really wanted to, I was like, Evan, you're coming home. We're gonna have a show. It's gonna be great. And then my body was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're gonna take a nap, and you're gonna eat half your weight in Nutella. That's what you're gonna do today. So that is what my body told me I was doing last week. So there you go. Harmonica you use to refer to a chromatic harmonica, the one with a button that accesses all the missing notes. Right. But you need to get a whole new instrument. Harp, harmonica, actual harp. Yay, I'm so glad he says hello back. That's awesome. Also, like, lovely multitasking you're doing there, Seth. But yeah, it's been a minute. Half my weight. Can anyone even eat 55 pounds of Nutella? Starbelly. I actually don't know how much I weigh. In a sort of body positivity sense, I threw away the scale. And I'm probably like hitting like a solid, like, your ears can't handle it. Seth, it's Kieran's first stream back in a second, so I fully understand if you choose to watch him instead of me, because the VTuber model is kind of cool. And I've thought about being a VTuber. I've thought about it. You watch both? Okay, Seth. I thought about being a VTuber because, like, sometimes I don't have it in the face. And like, if I unmask, basically, like, my face is like this. And I could be the most excited person in the world, but sometimes my face just wants to do this. And I look angry. But sometimes that's just like the mode that my face muscles want to be in, and I'm like, I don't want to be on camera like this. I do have situations where I also do not want to be perceived. So doing the VTuber thing is very attractive. Very attractive. I don't know the kind of operating costs are of being a VTuber. Like how much it would be to commission a model and how much any kind of software is in terms of like face capture and all of that stuff. I feel like I'd also be very, very picky about what my model would look like. I don't know. I feel like I would want it to look like a combination of like me, but like in like the gem style kind of animation. Because I fancy myself when my life is working correctly, it feels very gem-like. Like singer by night, businesswoman by day. Except in this case, the businesswoman is more of a teacher type deal. As I rearrange my post-it notes with my grading rubrics for the things that I am extremely behind in grading. Seth says, if I were to VTube, I'd have my character look Mad Max-like since my nickname is Roadwalker. Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Are we a gem in the holograms chat now? We could be. I remember nothing about the show except that the Misfits, their songs were better, and they were the Misfits, and they were gonna get her. I do know that. I don't remember a lot about that show, but I feel like that had a very serious effect on my brain chemistry that is if I dig deep enough, it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like I looked at a picture of Rio, Jem's boyfriend, and I was like, oh, well, yeah. It makes sense. And I always thought it was just kind of funny. I think there was like this whole bit about like Rio kind of, I think, like starting to have feelings for Jem, and then Jericho was kind of jealous, even though like they're literally the same person, and that just kind of means that like he likes all aspects of her personality, and that's actually kind of cool. I don't know. The fashions were dope. The music was cool. I have, Daniel, kind of always wanted like a set of like synergy earrings, except like hoops, something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's weird. I had my robe on and I was comfortable, but then I was like, I don't want to stream in a robe. That feels silly. And then I put this on instead, which I thought like, oh, this is going to be robe-like, but be real clothes. And now I'm like, it's like humid out there. Now I'm having a hard time regulating my temp, folks. That's just how it would be. Jem had separate identity crisis episodes about the love triangle that they had that was only two people. Yes. A love triangle between two people, such as Jem. The Synergy earrings were dope. Synergy itself was dope. And like I loved the fashions. I loved the color. Like just the use of color. Like I would always say that like I don't like pink. and pink is not my color. I'm more of just like a straight like red, you know, red and black and silver, and like, you know, that was always my vibe, except for this like very one particular shade of like magenta pink that I think is the exact color of the Synergy earrings and is probably contained in the logo. It's like I'm very picky about my pink. Very picky about my pink. This is pretty close, but I feel like it's just like this, but with like a little more red in it. It's like, remember when Crayola had those crayons? Back in my day, I used to get a Crayola crayon box that was like the 50 burger or like the 75 burger, one of those. And they would have 2 crayons. And one of them would be red violet. And the other one would be violet red. I don't. I've also seen TikToks about people, and these are my people, okay? These are my people. About noticing that, like, Crayola colors aren't hitting the same as they did during our childhoods. Like, very specifically, my favorite crayon, which was Cerulean, is apparently not hitting the same as it used to. Like, they switched up the formula on the Cerulean or something, and now it's like, no, it's just not, it's not right. The formula's not right. So I don't know. It's like how, I saw another TikTok that someone was like, they readjusted in like the early 2000s, they readjusted the Cinnamon Toast Crunch formula to have like less sugar or something. And they were like, this has the changes that we made have absolutely no effect on the taste. And everybody says that this has no effect on the taste. And then there's like a certain subset of us that were like, no, it's different. It's different, and you know it's different. And you can't tell us it's not different, because it is. It's different. Doesn't taste the same. Doesn't hit the same. It's like whenever, for me, that's like whenever the heart-shaped Honey Nut Cheerios boxes come back. And I love the concept of a heart-shaped Cheerio. I think it's adorable. I just personally, I think they taste different enough that I'm like, maybe get me the box of the regular. But I'm picky. Have you heard about the Cadbury eggs and that they aren't smaller, you've just gotten bigger? No! They have gotten smaller. Because I'm not that much bigger than how I started. And I remember Cadbury eggs being hefty, like an egg. And now they're like this. They used to be closer to chicken eggs, and now they're more like quail eggs. Cadbury. Hopefully it's like gotten bigger in the sense like, oh no, like you're a big kid now instead of a kid. That is like the one, you know, I am of a witchier persuasion, so I do celebrate Easter, just not in the way that people think. I do celebrate the spring equinox, and I do get my one Cadbury egg a year for the spring equinox, which is actually coming up in a few weeks, actually. I gotta make plans. I gotta get my one Cadbury egg where I eat it, and then I realize I'm good. That happens every year. I don't know if I'm going to get a chocolate bunny. Conan O'Brien had a guest from some movie who was a big fan of the eggs, stockpiled them, and still had some of the old ones. They changed the cream, too. Okay. Because I feel like when I started eating Cadbury eggs, like when I was an adult, I was like, I remember these being more exciting. I remember these being more exciting in the flavor department. And like it looked different. Like it looks cool. Like when you open it, it's supposed to look like white cream and then something that looks like egg yolk, but I imagine it's all the same flavor. But now it doesn't look the same either. I don't know. I'm still heartbroken that we don't have Butterfinger BBs anymore. I'm still heartbroken that I don't have my Alphabets with marshmallows anymore. I can't even find like a straight up box of Alphabets actually. Which like when it comes to a plain cereal, this is cereal chat now by the way. Hopefully everybody's down. Hi, welcome to Cereal Chat. There is a podcast called The Empty Bowl that I have not listened to. I've just been kind of stockpiling it. Because I think it's a little bit more ASMR-y in the sort of like listen to us to fall asleep and we talk about cereal kind of way. So I haven't listened to it because I haven't sort of had the need to like chill with a podcast about cereal, but I could talk about cereal all day. Welcome to Cereal Chat. What's your favorite cereal? Is this stream gonna just like devolve into like cereal rankings? Power rankings? I'm not gonna. I could. It's difficult though. I don't think I should even like, I don't even think that I should not start a ranking of cereal because I don't know that I could actually choose. I don't think I could. There are too many good ones. Right? They're all good dogs. They're all good dogs. I'm also, I would feel a little bit disingenuous doing a cereal power ranking because there are certain genres of cereal that I don't necessarily rock with as much. I don't rock with fruit-based cereals. Really. I am a honey fill in the blank. Honey Nut Cheerios, honeycomb, honey bunches of oats. That's my vibe. Cookie Crisp is still around, Makoto. I like eating that one dry. There's also there's cereals that I prefer dry and never have with milk. There are cereals that I will actually maybe only have with milk. Captain Crunch. And because otherwise, ow. And then there are cereals that are really, really good for both. In my estimation. I can eat a dry corn pop. I also like corn pops with milk. Same thing for honeycomb, same thing for a Honey Nut Cheerio. But a Captain Crunch, I need milk. It is painful even like letting it sit for like a little bit in the milk. I can't even imagine just like raw dogging Captain Crunch. It's like eating glass. Like I don't even... No. I hope the mix of lo-fi and talking about raw dogging Captain Crunch is exactly what you need in order to prevent the Sunday scaries. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm happy to be back on Twitch. Is this what you wanted? Captain Crunch talk. I'd prefer reverse cowboy those grape nuts. I was an awful child. I didn't eat grape nuts, but what I would do with Raisin Bran is I loved that Raisin Bran raisins were like sugared. Like you could see like bits of sugar on the Raisin Bran raisins. So what do? I pull out the raisins with sugar on them and leave the bran in the box like a terrible human. And my grandparents would basically just be eating bran. My grandparents just ate a bunch of bran after I was around. As sinister. My parents would have to buy me and my brother 2 separate bags of Lucky Charms cereal because I would pick out the marshmallows. So we would each need to have our own bag so that I could do what I wanted and pick out the marshmallows and eat them separately. And then my brother could just have it in peace. I would love to play a Saturday morning cereal villain. I'd love to be like, okay, so like, I would do, there would be so many roles that I would love to play, up to and including like a Chevron car. Cereal mascot is up there. Just like general like food mascot or like a commercial mascot would be huge. Not in like the flow way. But hey, if that opportunity arises. But definitely in a Chevron car way. Hello. Well, looky there. We've got 3 gerbils in the coat joining us. 3 gerbils in a coat. Just the 3. Some days you're the top gerbil. Some days you're the bottom one. You know. What did I miss context-wise? I signed in and see a quote in the chat that says, I'd reverse cowboy those grape nuts. I was talking about raw dogging Captain Crunch without milk. And how painful of a prospect that sounds like. Evan is currently working. So the idea is that I'm going to be hanging out until he gets home because I need to be entertained and y'all are entertaining. It's also been like a couple of weeks, literally. And I've missed streaming. I've had a lot of fights with myself about my online presence and what to do and what not to do, and the conclusion that I keep coming to is you just need to do and then worry about the rest later. Don't worry about the fear of being perceived, which is a big one. The fear of not being entertaining. The fear of no one being there when I get back. So I'm happy you're here. I'm going to basically just like remove the idea of a schedule from my life because I don't know what is going to happen in any given day. I'm gonna have auditions. Some days I don't have auditions. Some days I have to do teacher stuff. Some days I got nothing. Some days I'm just not feeling being live. You know what I mean? It's like there will be sometimes where I will feel like super guilty about putting on a face of makeup and then like making a bunch of TikToks and stuff and then being like, well, if you could do that, why can't you stream? And it's like, well, it's different though. Because I can edit and have several takes of things. I'm just doing it live with y'all. And sometimes that takes different spoons for me. Even though I feel like it shouldn't, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know. one of the other things that I'm super excited about, speaking of schedule, that I think is going to be super helpful, is I got this okay, thank you, Daniel. It is totally different. I got this new weekly pad. I don't know if there are any like stationary nerds in the chat, but that is like one of my special interests other than like, you know, music, acting, education. If I were to do anything else, it's like maybe being like a bullet journal streamer or like a stationary streamer, some kind of like visual art type stream. Because, let me make sure that there isn't anything, yeah, that's fine. I was like, let me make sure that there isn't anything NDA'd on here. I got this weekly pad, which is very cool. Of course, my camera's backwards, so you can't actually read it. But like, it has nice big empty blocks for me to just throw down what it is that I want to do every given week and have the week at a glance, which I think is super, super nice. And it helps me kind of organize my time. There's something weird that my brain does when I write a box in like my regular planner, which is the other thing that I work in. I have like 4 different journals. It's a whole thing. And maybe one day I might consider doing like a plan with me kind of show, potentially. But like writing a to-do in my planner feels like very serious and permanent, and like if you don't do this thing today, you are a failure. In a way that like writing it in just like a plain box doesn't feel weird. I don't know. My brain works in silly ways, and I found a way that works for me. So I'm very, very excited as I check off some things. It also feels really, really good to check things off. Okay. Also realizing that I have not worked out today, which doesn't feel super great. Maybe when we get home, and by we I mean Evan, maybe when Evan gets home, I'll convince him to like take a walk around the block with me or something. Do some push-ups. A little light yoga action. Just to say I did, you know? Hey, Jean, welcome back. Jean? I just had lunch. / dinner. Supper? Maybe supper's the better word for it in that case, when it's sort of like in the in-between times. I had my supper. We had a ground pork that was seasoned with soy sauce and maple and rice wine vinegar and green onions and ginger, and cooked that down, yum, nice and crumble-like, and made rice bowls out of it. So I had some leftover ground pork, rice bowl vibes. It's very, very tasty. Also, once again, I do not know if Retsev is in the chat, but if they are, once again, I will never be able to thank them enough for the recommendation and subsequent donation / tip that allowed us to get a rice cooker for the very, very first time, because that thing has been transformative. The fact that I don't have to like babysit a pot of rice like I used to is kind of huge. So, yeah. Very, very pleased at the stuff that we're getting out of there. The Des, have you tried Ring Fit Adventure? Love it because of how customizable it is. There's no judgment, but it also tracks the number of days that you log in, so there's that. I have not. I have heard that Ring Fit is kind of sneakily harder than one would think, in terms of like you're like, oh, this is This is something for the Wii. You know, this is something for the Switch. Like, this is Nintendo Fitness. Like, how... You know, how silly could, you know, a Ring Fit adventure actually be, and then people just, like, come away from it just sweating. Their heart rates are just through the roof. Legs are jelly. People are walking like newborn fawns after a Ring Fit. It also has an offline mode, so you can do reps while watching a movie or something. Oh, that's cool. I am currently doing a yoga with Adriene. She has a, like, at the beginning of every year, I think, she has like a 30-day challenge, and it's one video every day for 30 days, just to kind of like kick your year off, right? So I've been working my way down that playlist, and I don't do it every day, but just to like give myself like an order of things to do, I just am basically working my way down the playlist. So I think I'm on day like 14 or something would be the one that I would do next. But otherwise, Evan and I, when we have the time together, we'll take a walk around the block, which feels good. And then I'll do some light stretching. But I have been, whenever I have done things like, because like, hey, I'm a woman living under the patriarchy, so I've had lots of ups and downs vis-a-vis my fitness and my health and the way that I see myself and the way that I would like to see myself and all that stuff. Yay, Evan's on the way. I'm gonna heart that message. And the thing that has always, and this is important, not what made me look the best, but everything that has made me feel the best, which coincidentally is sometimes when I look my best, has always been when I have prioritized things like strength training, and things like body weight exercises, and focusing on strength. God, I hate cardio. Cardio sucks so much. I hate it. I don't wanna run. I get overheated very easily, and I feel like I get out of breath very easily, to which you might say, well, Elisa, you know what the answer to that is? Just do it more. And then you'll get stronger, and then you'll get used to it. No. To which I say, no. I don't wanna. But I love doing yoga, and I love doing Pilates, and I love doing body weight exercises, but I also love lifting weights. Another thing that I like to do, which would count as cardio, is I do, but Evan hasn't had a gig like this in a while, so I haven't done this in a while. Namaste, the light within me salutes the light within you as well. What I do is, because one of the biggest things, I have several goals. One of them is to be able to have the stamina to do like a 3-hour show on stage, and be able to like sing and dance my ass off, and be able to do like 3 sets. If I can do like 3 45 to 55 minute sets, and be able to like give a good show, like that's the goal. I don't want to be winded. I don't want my voice to suffer. I want to be in fighting shape, and fighting shape for me is doing a top 40 gig and being able to survive it. And honestly, for the longest time, that was my cardio, was when I was doing top 40 gigs. That was probably some of the most, I was eating like shit. So I wouldn't say that I was the fittest I was. I would probably say that I'm the fittest I am now because I'm eating way better than I ever have. The only thing is, just figuring out like a solid, like consistent fitness thing that I can do. But what I would do is when Evan is rehearsing for a show that involves a lot of covers, and he's done like these top 40 gigs before, and like back when he was rehearsing for like a New Year's gig, which is, you know, like a 3-4 hour show sometimes, he would be rehearsing like literally right next to me over here. And then what I would do is I would pretend that I was the background vocalist on the gig and then just rehearse my dance moves. I wouldn't necessarily sing along because like when he's rehearsing, like he needs to listen for the guitar part. So I'm not going to mess that up with, you know, me caterwauling. I'm not going to mess that up with any of my caterwauling over what he's trying to do. But I will like actively be like, okay, so if I were in a top 40 band, how would I be the, you know, what would the background vocalist moves be for like Beyonce's Cuff It or Pharrell Williams' Happy? You know, how would I dance and perform a Lizzo tune, you know? And doing that, I will get my heart rate up more in, you know, 2 to 3 minutes, you know, than I would even thinking about running, you know what I mean? And like, why would I run? I could run and I could do the treadmill thing, but that'd be boring. I also feel like if like with me, anybody else. Also, by the way, most of the issues that I run into are from me having standards for myself that I do not hold other people to. So if you are the kind of person that uses your time on the treadmill or on the bike or on the stair stepper to like, oh, I get to like watch a show, you know, or I get to like get a podcast in or whatever. There is like a part of me that is so like both Protestant work ethic and Catholic guilt obsessed that I'm like, no. I feel like if you're enjoying yourself too much, you're not actually like working out. I'm like, no. Because the fittest I've ever been is now. But like some of the strongest I've ever been has been when all I've done was just dance and sing in sweaty bars. So I'll just make a workout out of that, I think. And then that'll just be my cardio. It's just pretending to be a background vocalist. I'll make a workout tape. It's like a background vocalist workout tape. It's gonna be a lot of step touches. It's gonna be a lot of step touches. Be a lot of this. Be a lot of that. Shadow Asylum. Haven't been around in a long time. Why did the band change their name? Legal stuff with another band. Just wanting to rebrand. A little bit of everything. So when we came up with Crimson, it was literally because I had been performing as Elisa Melendez in the same way that I thought would work out like a Jewel or like an Alanis Morissette. I would show up. There'd be a whole band, right? But I think it was also, you know, kind of because of the Jewel thing, a lot of times people would see Elisa Melendez on the bill and they would assume that I was going to roll up with an acoustic guitar and do a You Were Meant for Me's and your Sarah McLachlan's and stuff and your Lisa Loeb's. And it would just be me and an acoustic guitar. Solo artist, right? And then I would roll up with like a full-ass rock band, loud as shit. And then people were like, oh wait, no, hold on, I thought you were something different. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And so people would get confused between the whole like solo artist with a backing band thing. And I'm like, all right, well, let's just be a band because I think that'll be easier for folks to get. Also, people could not pronounce Elisa Melendez for the life of them, which now my response would be shove it down their throats and make them learn how to pronounce your name because they're gonna have to get it right because they're gonna be saying it a lot. So like that would be my advice to myself is you make them learn how to pronounce your name. But back then, the solution was, okay, let's just come up with a band name. My hair was already red at the time, and that was, and still kind of is, a signature piece of my look. So I'm like, well, maybe let's do it around red. Let's do it around red. Okay, so what are some synonyms for red? And I was like, all right, and then I kind of went down the list. I'm like, well, crimson sounds cool. And then that was it. It was going to be like crimson something. And I was like, no, we're not going to go deep blue something. Because that's how they got their name. But that would have been really funny. We're just going to be crimson. And then we rolled like that. Now, we rolled like that before streaming services, before even Napster. But now, with a bunch of, with all the streaming services, with how easy it is for people to make music nowadays and how easy it is for people to get their stuff online, if you look up Crimson on a streaming service, you're going to get like my 4 or 5 tunes and then every other person who decided to name their act Crimson. And it has been so difficult to untangle everybody else, every other Crimson from my Crimson. And I was like, I don't want to mess with anybody else's like streaming numbers and like kick them off official artist pages. And like, it felt weird because folks were making more music than I was. Like, I haven't released anything with a full band since 2011. You know what I mean? So it's like, who am I to say that I am like the Crimson? You know what I mean? So instead, so it was definitely an SEO play for sure, in changing our name from Crimson to Crimson Echoes. The SEO on Crimson Echoes is legitimately better. And the name works in several ways. I'll say that. The name works in several ways. It feels also like a good line of demarcation between like the full band stuff that we would make, with all the rest of the guys, and maybe some more of the music that maybe Evan and I might be taking on potentially by ourselves. I feel like we still want to use like a couple of like the Crimson guys, but everybody's so scattered, and everybody has their own schedules, that Evan and I are going to also give a shot at like making music as a duo, and I'm probably also going to give a shot at like trying to do as much as I can by myself. And so all of that being said, it felt like a good time for a new name, freshen things up a little bit, and kind of give myself license to explore a little bit more musically, rather than feel like tied to the thing that I was making in like literally 2008. So, the ways that they would mispronounce my name, everything from Alyssa to Eliza to Melissa. I think one time I got a Melissa Fernandez. Melendez was another one, which was really wild because as much as possible I would try to put the little tilde over the second E so that people would like, it's Melendez. There's a little accent mark over it to let you know where to put the emphasis. Melissa Melendez, Alyssa, Eliza, Allison? Oh, I think I've gotten an Allison before. Yep, I've gotten an Allison. So like that got, it was like people would mispronounce it, but then it would be like also like misspelled on the flyer sometimes. I was like, no. And this was back when Still not 1,000% there yet, but this is back when I had significantly less self-respect and self-worth than I do now. Surprisingly, Daniel, it's a lot in Miami. This was in Miami. And I don't know what it is. I broke people. Elise Mendez. That was another big one. I need to start like taking out credit cards in all of my different fucking aliases. Just started like an account with all of like the different spellings on a Starbucks cup. I don't. Yeah, Allison. Yeah. It's. So, Elisa. If you want to anglicize it a little bit, Elisa. Or Elisa. Like from Gargoyles. Thank you. That's what I keep saying. Like the Gargoyles lady. Like the Gargoyles lady. Starbelly, I can understand. I would have a couple of different places to put the emphasis there. Oh, I think Evan might be home. Yes, he is. Yay. Yes, the cop lady. I mean, a cab, but yeah, take up. I never really paid a lot of attention to Gargoyles. Like, it wasn't like as much my thing, but I was always so mesmerized and excited that the Gargoyles lady had my name. And so far, other than her and the actress Elisa Donovan, who played Amber in Clueless. There you go. Had to search for it. There it is. Elisa Donovan, who played Amber in Clueless. Those are like the only two like major Elisas that I know. Oh, you think I would really like Gargoyles? You mean like a cool lady with a leather jacket, who has a maybe long-standing sort of will they, won't they relationship with like a nice, beefy, strong, brooding creature? Unrelatable. Hi, honey. Yeah. I probably would really like Gargoyles. You know what? And it's probably one of those things where like I maybe did like watch it when I was a kid, and then every memory about it has completely left me. Like, you couldn't tell me the names of literally any, like, I couldn't tell you anybody else that was on Eureka's Castle or even what would happen at any given point during that show. But I remember I loved that show. I loved Eureka's Castle. I loved Under the Umbrella Tree. That was my jam. I'm just gonna now say a bunch of stuff from my childhood that I really dug in the hopes that, like, to recover some core memories for y'all. Under the Umbrella Tree was a vibe. There was a show that I used to watch that was Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which was a very sort of like very early 90s take on Alice in Wonderland, and it was so dope. And the Red Queen on Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was the absolute best. So cool. No shade to Helena Bonham Carter, but the Red Queen in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, I was obsessed with her outfit and like the fabric of her dress. I always thought that was like the coolest thing. It was like a red lame, and it was shiny and glittery, and she was gorgeous, and of course, because it's a Disney show. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland had musical numbers, and so she had a great voice, and that was so cool. But anyway. Daniel Neruda, Gargoyles is adult watchable. See, I like that. That's a cool vibe. I feel like a lot of the best animations like hit you when you're a kid, but will also usually be like smart enough to maybe have some jokes in for the parents, or you know, cartoons that would treat kids as like as smart as they actually are and as perceptive as they actually are, and not like talking down to a kid's audience. I like that vibe. I'm gonna send a quick text. Talk amongst yourselves. Thank you, hun. That was gonna be my next question. See, that's what gets me, though, a little bit. And sometimes, like, I will still get people mispronouncing my name, like, long after they've heard other people say it correctly. I've maybe tried to say it correctly or something. Aw, thank you, Seth. I appreciate that. Mwah! Appreciate the biddies. And, like, people, like, still not getting my name right after like working with them for a while. It's to the point where like I would kind of answer to anything and everything, and like I would even answer to like if somebody said the phrase "at least," but they said it really fast, I would be like, wait. Oh, sorry. No, you weren't addressing me. Whoops. Yeah, it does. That feels a little, I can get people not necessarily getting like Elisa due to the dearth of prominent popular culture figures and characters that may or may not have such a name. I don't know how they missed that one. But hey, Evan is even. Evan has been like even, Ethan, probably, Heaven. Like the location and the feeling I get when I'm with him. Like it's oof. It's weird. I don't. Yeah. I don't know. Names are weird. Names are fun. Names are great. My middle name doesn't like barely fit in any forms, so like my name is about a bajillion different ways on a bajillion different forms, to the point where like I'm surprised that I haven't been like popped for like trying to like steal my own identity or something. Cause wait, are you Elisa Melendez? Are you Elisa M. Melendez? Are you Elisa Maria Melendez? Are you, wait, hold on. I'm every woman. Evan just went. Evan, Elise Menendez, like Alizé. Like, what is Alizé, like the liquor? I don't even know. Babe, talk to the people. I don't know what you have.
Does this thing work?
Babe?
Check. Hey. No? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Can you hear this boy?
This is the first time I've been able to use the my mic and my boom arm and my
Hey,
split. and all
mix
that stuff.
engineer, I see. We
Hey.
miss you so much.
Mix engineer, hey, your beard, by the way, I commented on a photo you posted on Facebook not too long ago, and the beard is intense.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Yo,
Incredible.
come through to Dallas, dude.
He's in Austin like next week.
Yo, but seriously, 4 hours north. Come on up. Come on up. Like legit though. I need to see this. I need to see this beard. What are we? How like epic are we talking?
It's glorious. I'm jealous.
What if you move to Austin? Yo.
I can introduce you to a few people.
We can hear both of you really well. Well, thank you. Evan.
Even was, I mean, so in the English language,
This is how this boy comes through for a chat right now.
I the laws around pronunciation in the English language should dictate that my name is even. It's vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant. So when you do vowel, consonant, vowel, the first vowel is supposed to be long, even. And the people that would, the majority of people that would mess it up growing up in Miami would be English wasn't their first language. So they would pronounce it the way that the English language is taught to use pronunciation.
Right.
And like they would call me even. I wasn't mad about it. So that part didn't bother me. The part that didn't have a chance to bother me, it bothered my mom, is when I was born, they brought her the birth certificate and like, here's your son, even. And like, the fuck it is. Take that back. Well, we already filled this out. And now you're going to go fill it out correctly.
Yeah, because that's not your name. That's not your name. That's not your name.
Hi,
How you been,
everybody. I
baby?
missed you. It's been a long day.
Yeah. Does Evan know we've been talking about names for 40 plus minutes?
I heard the last 20.
Oh yeah, Evan, with the emphasis on the
Evan.
A.
Gotten that for sure.
Evan.
Oh, Alex, I was going to text you. And since you're here, you're Cuban and living closer to Tampa than I ever did.
Oh!
Do you put...
Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about
Is
this.
it salami? What?
It is salami.
So in Tampa, they put salami on their Cuban sandwiches. Alex, discuss.
Have you experienced the fight between a Tampa Cuban sandwich and a Miami Cuban sandwich?
You had no clue? Okay, good. Then they're all fucking crazy.
Okay, because like I've seen a couple of YouTube videos from prominent food YouTubes about the Tampa Cuban sandwich and how it is like the quintessential Cuban sandwich. And like they have salami, and I want to say like they do
no
or
mayo.
don't have mayo, which is like, right? You only eat Cuban sandwiches in Miami.
That's right.
Like,
Same, honestly. The best medianoche I ever had was in the jury pool at the Richard E. Gerstein Justice Building, downtown Miami.
straight up.
It was intense.
Straight up.
Hi, everybody. I missed you. I got a new little fancy boom arm. I want to like use it and stuff. Also, I bought too many of these. Does anybody want to buy a Rode boom arm? They are not cheap.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Wait, how many more do you have?
I have one spare.
Can you spare one spare? I mean, I could use it. I don't know. Maybe not. No, probably not.
Let's go put a camera on.
I want the goosenecks.
Yeah,
more
more goosenecks.
than anything. I want one here, so I can put my phone up, and then one there, so I can put my phone up. So 2. I need 2 goosenecks.
I need 3, and they come in a 2-pack. I don't want to buy.
So that's 5. Oh
I don't
no.
want to buy 3 2-packs.
Okay, that's a lot of goosenecks. That's a lot of geese. That's a lot of
Not
geese.
skis.
I'm not sure if shipping makes sense. Untitled Gooseneck game. What? You want studio gear? Probably be selling a bunch of my studio equipment. Ooh.
Alex, text me later. No, I'm not buying any of your gear, though. You don't want to ship it to Texas with you.
No.
Evan is a Welsh variant of John. Okay.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Also, the last name Lamb is a British name back when I guess they named you for what the fuck you did for a living.
Oh.
I was a lamb for a living.
Or like you worked with them.
I imagine.
New from Harmonix Untitled Gooseneck game. Streamer simulator.
Okay. I wanted to come and say hi, but also I haven't eaten in 12 hours, so.
Oh no! All right. So I did say that I was going to stream until I felt my happiest. And now I currently feel my happiest because he's home. So I'm gonna feed this boy. But it was really, really happy to be back. I guess your ancestors are probably shepherds.
I hope so.
They were like Mayflower folk, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Sorry. It was me.
Well, you don't have to apologize to me. You're not. You're not Spanish.
I'm not Spanish.
If you were a Spaniard, I would have some like very complicated. Very complicated.
Oh, Lisa
thoughts.
redyed my hair. Everybody, look. It's bluer.
Well, no, don't show them. This isn't the hair's final form.
Okay.
I didn't leave the bleach on long enough in certain parts, and I feel like I didn't let the color sit enough, and so this isn't my vision completely.
Your non-vision looks great.
But I'm working on it, and that's probably actually what I might end up doing tonight after dinner. But Mix Engineer, text us so that we could chat about all of these recent developments. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was a late one, but y'all showed up. Y'all came through. I am mentally ill in ways that are as yet undiagnosed, and therefore I'm going to just go ahead and not promise like a schedule to y'all. But I do want to stream more, and I say this every time. But at the very least, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you again. I want to do this as soon as possible again, and as much as I possibly can, and hopefully more with this guy too. Because that'd be cool.
And next time I'll bust out the guitar.
What? I think that'd be great. So stay tuned for that. Follow on all the places. Join the Discord. All that jazz. Jazz and rock and blues. And funk. And jam. And all the genres.
Progressive R&B.
Progressive R&B. Join the Discord. I want to see if I can like make a cool bot that like posts fun music questions and gaming questions for y'all every day as prompts so that we can get more active in there, because sometimes I will just straight up forget to post on there. So maybe like if I get a ping from a bot, then maybe I'll end up being active in my own Discord. But as always, thank you so much for supporting the show in however way you can, up to and including, and especially just hanging out with me and giving me someone to talk to while this guy got home from work. So thank you for hanging out with me.
I'm petting the cat.
Thank you for keeping us company. I do believe that is all the things. Thank you, Jean, as always. I'll be seeing y'all in the Discord. I'll be seeing you on TikTok. I'll be seeing you when I see ya. That was Ruby. That's Evan. I've been Lisa. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. No matter what you do, always be sure to rock on. Seriously, you deserve it.
Somebody once told me the world was gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind